Well,
Well, good.
our illustrious producer.
Can you define illustrious?
That's our sound check. Yeah.
So, mic check, check, check. That worked. I think we're back, right? Can everybody hear us now?
Yes.
All right.
I think they can. It's sounding in the chat like, yeah, they can hear us now. So that's good. Yes.
Known, respected, and admired for past achievements. All right.
So we got the illustrious part. Jesse is our illustrious producer. He is the one who got us our sound.
Back.
Yes. Round of applesauce.
That's
and
right.
He also is the person who got our website back up. So yeah, feel free to post anything you have there. I'm going to put it on the chat again, or you can just post your challenge or issue here in the chat.
That's right.
So welcome to Don't Worry Wednesday. It's where we take a stab at discussing some of the issues and challenges people are facing on a daily basis. And you know, because sometimes it's hard. Sometimes you need to, you know, just get a little bit of perspective to help you through. We're not professional therapists. We're not a substitute for professional counseling or anything like that. We just love you guys, and we just want to help out in any way we can. Excuse me. And so with me is Ryan, Static P. How you doing, Ryan?
Oh, I'm doing awesome. How are you doing down there?
Man, I am great. If I was any better, there'd be two of me. But
why don't you just do that then? Because you could get like twice as much work done if there were two of you. Actually, you probably get like 3 times as much work done.
You know, I could, because then I could work together with myself.
Yeah, exactly. Why don't you just be a little bit better then?
But you know, I'd probably argue with myself. So be like, I get it. I know the right way to do it. And I'd argue and be like, no, I know the right way to do it.
And then it would become like, no, I'm the real one. No, I'm the real one. Yeah, that would be weird.
Yeah. It reminds me of an argument a buddy of mine had with his dad one time. They were talking about what the best kind of steak seasoning was. Oh. And they were like, oh, I know what the best kind of steak seasoning is. And they're like, no, I know what the best kind of steak seasoning is. No, I know what the best kind of steak seasoning is. And they're both like these, you know, the hard-driven, choleric type of person.
Yeah.
Like, can't. They're like, I know it. No, I know. And then it turned out it was the same seasoning.
Yes, I was like, same seasoning. No, Dad, you wouldn't. Like, yes, you're older. You think you're wiser. You don't know what you're talking about, though. I have literally found the best steak seasoning.
It is. And they are both right that the best steak seasoning is Montreal steak seasoning.
That's funny. I was wondering if you might say Montreal. Montreal is a very well-known steak seasoning.
Yes.
Honestly, though, I think just salt and pepper. It does wonders. I mean, my brother cooks a pretty awesome steak. And also just as, you know, of course, some people just like butter. You know, there's like butter on their steak. And that's technically...
Oh, it's excellent on steaks. To put butter on steaks and on burgers. Any kind of meat, if you just put butter on it, it just needs extra fat. You know?
Yes.
It tastes really good. But yes, Zion Static looks particularly vibrant today. I think he used Pantene Pro V shampoo and conditioner.
I think you might be lying, but that's fine. I don't know if you can lie with an I think statement.
I think. Well, Ryan, you would know what you used on your hair.
That's
right. He uses tremendous hair product.
Yes. That's right. That's what it's called.
I also do.
Tremendous hair product.
I turned my head black.
Yeah.
It's a hat.
Oh. I thought it was black hair. Like,
oh.
Yeah.
See. I had you fooled, didn't I? Man,
You
oh
certainly
man.
did.
Whew, man, that's super amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Bree uses beer for her steak. That sounds
Yeah,
wonderful.
that sounds great.
You know, man, adding beer to things, French fries and onion rings and battering fish.
Yeah,
Oh, beer
fish.
battered fish. So fantastic. We're talking about food now. So I hope you guys aren't all that
Beer
hungry.
buns.
Maria Senpai says she's got to go to dinner.
Okay. Maria, we actually do have your thing. I don't know if we
We
talked
do.
about it last time, but we have
So
it.
if you come back, let us know when you get back because we'd be happy to discuss.
Yes, please.
Yes. And we've got a whole bunch. Oh my gosh. So
Yeah.
we got a lot of topics. Princess has been just amazing at putting these in the website for us. She also handled the Discord.
Thank you so much,
Um,
Princess.
Yes, Princess, thank you. She gets a round of applesauce too.
Absolutely.
So Princess says some of them we did last time. So yeah, we'll have to
Yes.
figure out which ones we did and which ones we didn't do here.
So you want to just do this in order as Princess posted it? I think that.
Yeah, well, as long as
as long
people-
as they're here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I'm not sure if. Okay, so did we do Jose's "Girl I Like"?
I don't know. Hold on.
Oh yeah, we did that one. Yeah, it was one where the girl stopped talking to him because he.
Girl I Like. Yep.
And then we did Princesses.
We did Princesses. Yep. And we did Lay's,
Line,
the line between crush and love.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And Jono. I don't know if Jono's here.
I don't think we did Jono's though.
No, so I don't think we did because I don't remember talking. I remember obviously talking to Jono before and covering one of his things, but I don't think that this is this one we did. So
Jono was not here at the time and is not here now either, I don't think. So
there's Breeze. Is Bree here?
Bree's here. Bree is here. She's the master steak cook with the beer.
Yes.
And she even put her recipe up here. I don't know, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Beer, a little liquid smoke, and steak seasoning, along with salt and pepper, which just sounds amazing. I don't know
that
what
would be
it is.
Liquid smoke is pretty good too.
It is.
I like liquid smoke. Yes. Yeah, we did Lay's here. Locking yourself up.
Did we? Oh yeah, we did.
We did Chris's dislike classmates. And
did we?
Yep, because that was the one that's
right.
Yep. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, we actually covered quite a decent amount of ground here. More than I thought. Now Haley's, I don't think we did.
No.
Nope, we didn't. So we got Haley's, Bree's and Haley's. Yeah. So since we know Bree is here, let's start with Bree.
Yeah. Yeah, let's do that. So Bree.
Sorry for making you hungry. We're talking about food.
Yeah, sorry, Cohagen.
I like your name, by the way, Cohagen.
Yes. Enough about food. I agree, Zion. Yes, Lay. Princess sent both the questions, and we handled both of them, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I'm quite sure we did. So Bree, you're here, and I remember you gave us permission to go through the stuff you posted last time. Mm-hmm. So, and Maria Senpai's back too.
Oh, okay.
Tell you what, yes. So, tell you what, let's start with Breeze because we're just getting into it.
Yep.
And then Maria, we will do yours next.
Cool.
So sounds good to me. So Bree says, you know what? I'm gonna have to change this here. Forgive me because now my face is gonna get all bright.
Thanks, shiny. Maria.
Yeah. Okay. So Bree says all of the doubt, the guilt, the worry and stress, all the self-loathing seeps in my skin like venom. Dark thoughts fester up inside, implanting darker thoughts inside my head. They bottle up inside until they start to devour my soul. They whisper nasty things to me when I'm alone, making my dark days darker. What do you do when your brain is a literal cell and you don't have the key? You try and say that everything's fine, but it's not. It's not fine. Does this even make sense? How can it when I can't even piece together the shattered remnant of my heart and soul? The noise in my head gets louder and louder until I finally break down. I hurt everyone around me. The world goes from black to gray to pure darkness. I've never felt so empty. And that is posted by Bree last on our last episode. And Bree, I have to say thank you for posting. And it is. I have to say you really, really have a tremendous way with words.
Yeah, I was gonna say the way that you wrote that was, again, yeah, kind of poetic.
Yeah, like really. I mean, you really have a good way of portraying what you're feeling through words,
Mhm.
which is an amazing skill and talent that you have.
Mhm.
And no, it's and there's no need to be sorry for that, because it really helps to get across your feelings in a very unique way. And so thank you, Bree, for posting and for having the courage to post it. So Ryan, do you want to start us off?
Sure. Yeah, I'm just gonna second you on that too, because the way that you write it, it just it tugs at my heart, tugs at my soul, because it sounds like you're going through a really really hard time, and um, yeah, and the way that you write it is very very felt, um, and poetic. So yeah,
Mhm.
I thought that was kind of one thing that stood out to me as well in the way that it's written. um, yeah, let's see, what can I say? So ultimately, the question is, hold on, let me recap some of it. Um, I'm trying to find that. Yeah, what do you do when your brain is a literal cell and you don't have the key? You
Mhm.
try and say that everything is fine, but it's not. Yeah. Um, I think I think it's good to be honest with yourself, because you're right. Sometimes you can try to say everything's fine, but it's not, because it's not. Sometimes things just aren't okay. Sometimes we look at things in life, um, and we have to acknowledge, like, that's not okay, and that's not how it should be, and it just is how it is. Not that you're cursed or that anyone wanted you to feel that way, but it's just, or to experience what you've experienced or whatever it is. But it's just how life is sometimes, and it's um, or for some people that's how it is a lot of the time. Unfortunately, it just depends on their environment. Um, so what do you do when you're surrounded by that, and things are not okay? Um, you know, I I think a lot of it just comes to being strong emotionally and trying your best not to let your surroundings get to you and get to your emotions. Um, I know how hard it can be once you're kind of swallowed by the darkness to try to escape it, because it drains you um, of your, what's the word? Um, um, It drains you of your desire to escape it. The word I'm looking for is not coming to me. Motivation. There, that's the word. It drains you of your motivation. So I can totally understand, being, completely enveloped in darkness and just being like, everything's terrible and I don't know what to do and I'm just stuck in it. Um, and so, you know, I see you around, and I see you on Don't Worry Wednesdays and so on. And I think that a lot of times you're doing the right things already, despite being trapped in, and being, um, like you said, in like a cell, you know, where your mind is its own destruction, and you're kind of trapped in it. Despite that, you continue to drive on, to move on, and to reach out to people, to talk to people on on the Discord, and come to the Don't Worry Wednesdays and talk to people here, um, and put out your troubles in front of other people and see who, if anyone has any answers or any way to motivate you. And I think all of that's very good, and I am glad that you do that, and I encourage you to keep on doing that, um, because that is really, honestly, all you can do through certain periods of life is just hold on and continue trudging through it. When you're stuck in the mud and there's nothing but mud all around you, the only way to get out is to just keep on trudging through the mud. You know, you can't just wait for a helicopter to come pick you up or something, right? You have to be realistic. You have to be honest with yourself and just keep on trudging through. Um, I guess you could paint the same scenario with the desert. If you're in the middle of a desert, you just got to keep on walking until you find something. I remember one time me and my friend got lost in the middle of a forest and we were like, how the heck did we end up here? We thought we took the same path back, but we didn't. And we were out in the middle of nowhere, like 2 hours out into the forest. And so we just were like, okay. And we picked a direction and we walked that one direction, without changing paths or anything, until we started to see things that were of civilization. Like, we saw what do you call that? A post with a telephone post, with telephone wires and stuff. And we're like, oh, we see something. And so then, we walked for like 30 minutes to like 45 minutes before we saw anything like that, just going in one direction. We didn't know where we were, but we figured, okay, just trudge one direction for long enough and we'll find our way out. And we did. And then we ended up like on a random main highway, and we were like, okay. And then Andrew, my friend, was like, wait a minute, I think I know this area. I think my house is that way. And so we started walking that way. Luckily it was the right way. But if it wasn't, we would have figured it out eventually. But I mean, that's sometimes you're just kind of stuck in situations where the only way out is to just be realistic and honest with yourself and say, I just got to trudge through it. And that's what you've been doing. And I think, I encourage you to understand like that, you're doing what you can. And I think that's great. Cause it's not easy. It's not easy at all. But do it, so I think that's really good. And, so what do you do though? I mean, you can kind of, help yourself in certain ways. You can help yourself as you trudge through the darkness with certain things. One thing that really helped me, when one thing that really helped me in life was listening to uplifting audios. And Joe has done this as well. But spending every single day, almost like any time you have free time, plug something in that's like a speech about something good. a talk from a stage that's about something that's uplifting. I know it's kind of like diving into the self-help realm, and that stuff can be iffy sometimes, but
Yeah, depending on the
having
source.
depending on the source, right? And you can do the research yourself and figure out what you like and what you don't. But you know, I know that that's helped me a lot. I know that's helped I'm sure it's helped Jesse a lot too. I would just say Joe. I know it's helped Joe a lot. And we can both attest to and witness to that, because what we would do is, when we were on the road doing our work, or whenever we were kind of sitting down, like one thing I would do is I would play video games while listening to, I still do that now, play video games while listening to audio or whatever, even talking to people while listening kind of in the back, just having it on, just constant uplifting messages. And the reason for that is because, the subconscious mind, I think we talked about it before, but the subconscious mind records habits based on what's around. And then it repeats those habits to you. And so if you have, if you go to school, or if you go to your workplace or whatever, and there's people constantly talking about a certain subject, or being really negative or whatever, that stuff will be in the back of your head, and it will kind of replay and just bog you down. But if you switch on something that's positive and uplifting, I've found that it keeps on rewriting those bad thoughts. So like, sometimes you'll just have it on and you'll be, won't even necessarily be paying attention to it, but it's on. Sometimes your mind drifts off. Then you have some bad thoughts, and then the audio, you start to pick up on it again, and it starts to correct your thinking. And it does a lot of the thinking for you. And so having that gives you positive thoughts over and over and over throughout the day, creating new habits, which will make your mind stop feeling like it's in the darkness and be able to kind of pull it out of the darkness. And I don't know, how can you do that? You can find that kind of stuff on like podcasts, Podbean. You can go to Spotify and find podcasts like that. You can go on YouTube and find series of shows. And we have the Don't Worry Wednesday on podcast now that we don't have a huge selection of them, but there's enough there to listen to for like at least 2 hours or something. And that's something nice that you can replay and listen to, and it's uplifting and helps your brain keep in check with itself, to not allow those dark thoughts to take over, and keep on fueling your brain with more positive things. Because the truth is life can be really, you can see life as being bad and hard to live through and very dark and so on. And that's true, because it is. But you can also see it as beautiful and really good, because it is also that. It's both at the same time. And really, what your brain focuses on is how you feel. And so you have to keep trying to make your brain focus on the right thing. And the best way I found to keep my brain focusing on the right thing is to have the right things in the background. So looping positive messages in my brain really helped me. So that's I think my best suggestion for this. But like I said before, I think you're doing a good job of just trudging through it. And just keep on doing that. Keep on doing what you're doing. Keep on looking out for ways to get through it, because I think that you are. Well, I know you are going to get out of this, because you've already proven your strength. And the more you go through this, the stronger you're going to get emotionally. And so, and you can get wise through all that you go through. Learn how to, what not to do and what you should do, and become brave. And I think you're on the right track. But I understand being stuck in that darkness. So my best suggestion is to just find, maybe Joe has some good web series to recommend, some podcasts or something. I know he's been listening to some recently. But you can just plug in and just have on in the background while you're doing anything throughout the day. On your ride home from school, or just playing in the background once you get home. I know a lot of times we like to listen to music, and it can be a weird change to listen to people talking from a stage or something. But even though it's weird at first, you get used to it and it becomes really enjoyable. But you said you used to write constantly, and you're always writing in your journal, but you stopped last year because you stopped caring and gave up. Yeah, I totally understand that. Like I said before, when you're trapped in this darkness, you're deprived of all your motivation because you're like, why am I even getting up? Right? Why am I doing anything? So it's good to help plug your mind with positive thoughts that re-encourage you and motivate you and say, oh yeah, this is why I'm doing it. Take some time to dream. I know it sounds silly, but take some time to dream. And by that, I mean, go online, look at houses that you think are beautiful and just look at the houses and be like, one day I could own something like this. Look at, sometimes it's material things. Sometimes it's friendships. Sometimes it's spiritual life or relationships or whatever it is. But, dreaming is an important thing because that helps us make our minds focus on something that matters to us and who we are. And that can kind of help pull us out of the darkness too. And if it's writing, one thing also I could suggest there is just start writing again. A lot of times when I feel groggy, is that a word? Whatever, groggy. I feel groggy about, when I feel unmotivated to do certain things, especially even creative things, things that I enjoy doing. I don't feel like doing it. But I'm like, I got to do it. So I start doing it. And then like 2 minutes in, I'm in it and I'm just like, going at it. And I'm like, oh yeah. Like I forgot completely that I didn't want to do it like 2 minutes ago. But once I got into it, I got into a groove and then that kind of kept the flow. And that's how it is almost every time for me. Sometimes you listen and you're like, I don't know what to do with this. And then you're like, okay, I'm just going to scrap it and start something different. And then your brain starts moving again. So pick up an old project, maybe something that'll inspire you, or maybe start something new, start a new journal, start a new story, write something. Because, Joe said many times, when you are in an emotional place, especially, when you're sad or, wherever, whatever, that can be a incredible fuel and source for great creative works and art. And especially writing. I mean, again, just the way that you write a lot of times is really beautiful. And, cooking is a creative thing too. Even if it's like you're doing it the same thing every time you make the meal, it's still creative and you get a reward, which is taste, which is an incredible thing that humans can do. Did you know not all animals can taste? Cats they're not capable of tasting sweet things. So if you hand a cat something that has sugar on it, it won't know that the sugar is there.
Wow.
Yeah. Which is kind of interesting. Which is why they usually just don't like sweet things, because they don't taste it anyways. It just tastes like it would be if it didn't have any sugar in it.
How many cats did they interview to figure that out?
About 72. They also confirmed they only see in turquoise and red. They have no... yeah. So, no, I'm just kidding. No, I don't know. But, okay, that stuff was a lie. How many did they interview? I like that. No, I don't know how I think that is a good question. I think they did brain scans while feeding them different items and compared to humans and so on. But anyways, irregardless, I'm going to hand it over to Joe at this point. Droggy. Yeah, you can quote me on that weird word, huh?
Drowsy. There you go.
Groggy. Exactly. That's exactly what I was going for. I was like drowsy, groggy, and I had droggy. Thanks for catching my yeah. Okay. So there you go. Those are some suggestions. I hope that one of them will help you. Dream on, as Princess said, to quote somebody else. I don't know who. And yeah, just rekindle those dreams. Look at houses or something. They're like, oh, this is beautiful. I would love to live here someday. And imagine stuff. Make things up. Like one thing that I would love to have in a house is a river. Like a river that runs through my house, but like it's just enclosed. It wouldn't necessarily have to be a river, but a flowing water that moves through the house and like it runs through my bedroom and it's lit up on the bottom with like blue lights.
Yeah.
And it's like really beautiful. And so like, you wake
inner
up,
tubes and you can just jump in there like a lazy river.
Like it's a lazy, like exactly.
You just
lazy
float
river.
over to the kitchen, like
yeah. So awesome. I would love that. It was so cool. Okay, so I get excited. You can find things that you get excited about too, right? We all have these weird, you create the stupidest dreams, but it would, yeah, absolutely. Waterfalls are beautiful, and they have such great sound to them. It's soothing to hear a waterfall.
Except I would have to go to the bathroom a lot. It would wake me up. If it was in my bedroom, I'd be getting up in the middle of the night a lot.
Fair enough. I don't have that problem, but fair enough. I get it. So
yeah, well, Bree, my goodness, thank you so much for sharing. I love the stuff that Ryan, just shared with you. And I don't know what I can add as far as advice goes. Because he gave you a lot of really good advice. As far as podcasts to listen to, I have been listening to a lot of podcasts. And by the way, yes, Don't Worry Wednesday is now available on Podbean and Spotify podcasts. And I did find out if you're going to search for it in Spotify, you have to put the apostrophe in the word don't. If you're going to do the search, otherwise it doesn't really come up very well. So if you look for Don't Worry Wednesday in Spotify, actually, you know what, I'll find the link and I'll post it. I'll post it, or if Ryan finds it, he can post it too. But yes, we're now on Spotify, and we are almost going to be on iTunes. That is just waiting to come back. Should be in a couple of days. Everything that's on there, I think there's so far there's 10 or 12 podcasts available.
Cool.
Just individual.
Nice Sonally. Oh my gosh, Sonally is insane. I love that guy. All right.
Yeah. Maria Senpai is a SoundCloud user. SoundCloud. We looked at doing SoundCloud. I don't know if we can link to SoundCloud. The only thing about SoundCloud is they had some really weird limits, and it was kind of overpriced.
Yeah, that was our first look.
They use up a lot of minutes. So
yeah, because our podcasts can be long, and then we could only post so many.
Yeah.
And then the pricing was a bit high, so we didn't go with SoundCloud, unfortunately.
Yeah,
that was our first thought.
Hopefully there'll come a day when we can link it all and be on every outlet that there is. I'm working on it. I'm getting there. I'm just adding as many as I can. The next one on my target is Stitcher. And then if you guys have other things you listen to podcasts on, please put them either in the chat or put them on bss.studio. Let me know where you want to see these, and we'll figure out a way to get our material to them. And you should buy a Criminal Idol mug like Ryan has. That would make you happy.
This is what makes people happy.
Yes, that makes me happy to see that. I really want one. I have this mug
logo there. It's so pretty.
It's not even nearly as cool as yours.
What is that? Who are you sponsoring, Joe?
Nobody.
We are not affiliated with flowers, with floor-petaled flowers, all right? That is not
I
us.
know.
Like, excuse me? You're gonna have to make up for that later by playing those bongos, let me tell you.
I know. Oh, suddenly says we have one podcast on SoundCloud. That's true, we do. You found it.
That's true.
The only reason that was up there was because I put it up there so I could listen to it and figure out where I needed to edit it. So that's like an unedited.
Wow. You can take it down, but Sunligh's already found it, so that means it's going to be there forever.
And he just posted the link. Good. Thanks, Sunlight. So anyway, Bree. Yes. So you can go there. Some podcasts I listen to. There's the Achieve Your Goals podcast with Hal Elrod. He's the writer of a book called The Miracle Morning, which made a huge difference in my life, just in how you get up, that kind of sets the tone for the rest of your day. And if you wake up and if you have kind of a routine that kind of gets you moving in the right direction, then that can put you in a good spot. Another one is the Tony Robbins podcast. He's a famous motivational speaker. He's got some interesting ideas, but more than anything, what I listen to in his is just his enthusiasm. I just like listening to him talk because he has this contagious energy that's uplifting. Some of his ideas, like I said, I don't endorse all of his ideas, but just the way he talks, I love listening to him because it just kind of gets me going. But those are two of them. If you're into Christian media, I really like Bishop Robert Barron.
I love him.
And I also like Ascension Presents, I think it's called. It's Father Mike Schmitz.
Yeah.
And that's
he's super enjoyable to listen to too, because
he's great. He's great.
Yeah.
Yes.
Father Mike Schmitz. Father Mike Schmitz as well. We both like him.
Yep. So, but as far as I'll tell you what, Bree, it's so hard. And as Ryan was talking, I was rereading through your post, and it really brought me back to a moment in my life. I remember this really, really dark time. And as a side note, the people who bring the best creative work to the world tend to be tormented souls. They really do. And it's unfortunate, but I think that connection, it doesn't surprise me that you go through some of the things you do, and you're also a very, very good writer. It does not surprise me that those two go hand in hand, because generally speaking, you see it all throughout. Great artists in any art form, whether it's writing or music or visual arts or movie making or even stand-up comics, who you would think a stand-up comedian has got to be this happy, super awesome guy, but they're some of the most depressed and tormented people that are out there. And it's anyone who has a tremendous way with art also experiences tremendous inner torture. And I'm sorry that it seems to be that way. But what it tells me is that, the fact that you're going through some of this stuff, it means that you really have a valuable thing to bring to everybody, whether it's through writing or art or something. I don't know all of your artistic abilities. I do know you just won the Inktober contest at bss.studio with your drawing of the cat. Joe was telling me about that. And so you have a knack in multiple arts.
Yeah.
And So anyway, so that's kind of my side note to say, okay, the most tremendously artistic, the people that enrich the world with great art tend to be tormented. I mean, just look at all the great artists of history, Vincent van Gogh. There's who is the guy? Edgar Allan Poe, the poet. I mean, tremendous. I mean, these guys went through really hard emotional struggles. So you have a powerful gift, Bree. And the fact that you're going through these times means that you will be able to plumb the depths of emotion unlike many other people, which means you can bring such great emotional art to the world. And the way you worded this post, even, it's so descriptive and it's so rich
with emotion, for sure.
It's absolutely moving, absolutely moving. And it brought me back. This is where I was starting. It brought me back to a moment in my life. Ryan remembers this time because him and I were working on our first musical project together.
Mm-hmm. I remember that.
And I remember this moment where I had finally, we had been going through a really hard time. And not Ryan and I, but my family and I. And it had just become clear to me that we were going to lose our house. We had been dealing with financial challenges. We'd been dealing, it'd been really tough. And I just couldn't find good income anywhere. And we had, our first son was 1.5 or maybe one, really young. And it became apparent we were going to lose our house. And we were working on this project together. And I remember sitting down in my basement studio, surrounded by cement, and just felt like I was in a prison and just crying. And I picked up the guitar that I was playing with and plugged it in, and I just started recording to this song we were working on. And I recorded, at least from what I thought, one of the most heartfelt lead guitar parts that I'd ever played. And it was because what I did at that moment was I threw everything at that part. I just threw myself into the music as deeply as I could, and I poured my emotion and all this tension and all this stress and all this darkness. Just went down in the deepest section of my soul and played from there. And to this day, when I hear that part, I cry. Because I remember what I put into that. I remember, and for most people, they probably hear it, they're just like, oh, hey, whatever, it's a guitar solo, big deal. It's not even very fast. It's just kind of, just little,
It was a good solo, though.
Well, thanks, Ryan.
Actually, I think that's the solo Chris Brady wanted to hear in the other CD. Because remember, he was like, we need more of that guitar stuff.
Yeah. But no. So, Bree, I just wanted to tell you, from the darkest moments comes some of the most beautiful, rich art, poetry, music. All of that comes from those dark moments. So remember that you are valuable. Remember that you have something so beautiful to bring to the world, and the reason you get put into this torment is so that what you bring out can be that much more beautiful. And I remember in those moments, it gave me a little bit of hope, just knowing the mechanics of that. Just remembering that, I'm going through this really hard time, and something really, really good is going to come out of it, because that's how that works. So it's the yin and the yang principle, like then, and even Newton's law can fit into that. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. For every dark, deep moment you have, you can create something that much or more beautiful.
That's true.
And you get it's so hard, but you get to expand with what you're going through. You will have such a wide range of beauty and darkness, and just it's such a rich experience that you can bring to the world. And Bree, I'm so happy that you're here. I'm so happy that you are willing to post what you're going through, and I'm so glad that you have this knack for writing, because like I said, listening, just reading through that, it really stirred a lot of emotion. So you really have a gift. But if it's really painful, and I know it is, and you're having trouble, you can throw some into your art. I definitely, if I see that you stopped journaling, it might be good to start again. I definitely would recommend it, that you start journaling. I journal in the mornings now, but yeah, sometimes it's good. You won't feel as lost to put your thoughts on paper, solidifies them, and then it's not such a whirlwind of the unknown just swirling around you. You have something concrete that's down and it's written, and it's something you can count on then, rather than just thoughts just blowing around. And another thing to do, I remember on another post you had talked about, you went out and took a walk in the hurricane.
Yeah.
I would recommend going out and taking a walk. It doesn't have to be a hurricane.
Yes, hopefully it isn't.
Yes, but going and doing something physical, whether it's walking, running, jumping, doing something physical that's motion, gets you moving. And it really, that's another thing, like journaling, for some reason, it helps to really clarify and solidify thoughts. And so it can really help give you a perspective on, okay, why do I feel this way? How can I get through it? And then you can work through those issues that way. And man, yeah. Yeah. In life, there's darkness and light, and that darkness is nothing but pain and misery. In the light, there are honest smiles and joy. In the end, though, life is a kind of gray color. It does, when you mix the light and the dark, it does kind of, when you do that, it mixes into gray, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But in the end, I love what you've contributed, Bree. I love the things that you've put on our website, and I love the things you've brought to the chat.
Yeah.
And I am so glad you're here. And just remember, there's never been anybody like you, and there will never, ever be another person like you in the history of the universe, past, present, and future. You are a unique individual, and you're special. And here, we love you more than you realize.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that can help you out. I hope some of what Ryan said and what I said, helps you along this journey, and keep coming back. We'll keep doing our best to help. And apparently we haven't offended you too bad, or else you probably would stop coming.
Yeah.
We did. But we love you so much. And you're so right. Life is beautifully painful. You have to walk through the storm before you can see the rainbow. That moment when the sun touches your skin and you can smile again, you know that it was worth it.
Mm-hmm.
My goodness, you know what?
Yeah.
We need to have you write lyrics.
Yeah, actually, it wouldn't be. I'm terrible at writing lyrics. You guys probably listen to my lyrics and be like, "What are you talking about? Your lyrics are great." Yeah, except for they take me 7 years to come up with.
They
So
do. That's why everybody's like, "Hey, Criminal Idol, anyone? Like, we're gonna keep going."
like,
The only reason.
I thought you said you were doing Criminal Idol or something. I'm like, yeah, I am.
Working on it. It took me that long to write a bunch of lyrics, and I didn't like them after I wrote them, so I scrapped it.
Scrapped them. And I was like, that didn't work. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So anyway, Bree, thanks again. Thanks for posting.
Mm-hmm.
And you are an amazing, wonderful individual.
Yeah.
And I love you. And I know Ryan does too. And I know Jesse does too. He's listening.
Yeah. I love you, Bree. Before we move on to the next one, I'm going to go on a small tangent.
Tangent.
You know, some tangent sponsored by Tangent.
That's the sponsor. The sponsor for this show is Tangent.
So it actually sounds like a product. Anyways,
it does. We're gonna make a product called Tangent, and we're gonna advertise it.
Yes, we'll have to get it. What's the word? I don't know.
Patented, copyrighted, whatever.
Yeah, no. I'll have to get like some advertisement agency, and we'll have to make sure that Scott Hahn is one of them because he likes to go on tangents.
Oh yes, Princess just said Tangent by Scott Hahn. I mean Ryan.
Yeah, and when you have a tangent, you got to take it. So no. Anyways, I was gonna say, life. People say, life is not black and white, and it's full of color. And I see every color. And I think that's a great point. And people who say that, I'm like, yes, that's true. But that doesn't mean there's not black and white. I think usually people say, the world's not black and white, it's gray, or it's every color, but they usually say that to rule out black and white. But black and white are still out there. There's still truth. There's still things that are completely black, and there's still things that are completely white. But there's, of course, things that are all sorts of different shades as well. And I think that life is great in that way. It's meant to be that way, and is really cool. Sometimes you've got good options, and you've got even greater options, and you have to sacrifice good for great. And sometimes you have several options that are great, and you have to figure out what you want to do. But yeah, it's just kind of interesting because people use life is not black and white as a way to say there's no truth. But I would say the opposite. You're right. There's no black and there is. The world is more than black and white, but that doesn't disclude black and white. It's great.
It's funny when you mix all the colors together, what you get?
Brown. Or if, yeah. Brown or a very dark brown.
Yeah.
Sometimes an unsaturated dark brown. Depends on what colors are available, but yeah.
Yes.
Anyways.
That was a good tangent.
Thanks. So we got to our next one.
Yeah, Maria's here. We should do Maria's. Yep. We've been talking about doing Maria's for weeks now.
Yeah. Maria, congratulations. We're doing yours.
Maria, you're here.
Are you here, Maria? Oh, it looks like Maria's not here. All right, next person. Maria posted like 4 comments.
Oh my gosh, poor Maria.
Yeah. No.
Where is this? I gotta sort these.
I have it.
Oh, you do.
But
I found it.
This is work deprived.
Work deprived over project.
Yes.
So it's not. I imagine by now you have worked your way through this issue, but I love it because I think a lot of people go through this, especially in school and college and and even now, like I get overworked and everything. It's crazy. But anyway,
Sure. Well,
go ahead, Ryan.
since you have some thoughts on it, I'll read it off at a slow pace, and then you can jump in with your
Okay.
thoughts.
Okay.
I had a bad day today. I worked on an art project collab for class only to make it not fit with anyone else's and ended up awful despite my efforts. I feel work deprived right now. I feel tired. I'm work deprived because I work so hard to make many people proud of me, people who mean a lot to me, but I don't get a lot of credit out of it. Sometimes none at all.
Mm-hmm.
There is a continued. I think there's a continued, but I don't get any credit. Yeah, sometimes none at all. Okay, I try really. Sorry, I really do, but then I procrastinate. Yep. Yeah, absolutely. But Akil, I do have people who appreciate me. Seriously, it's just I do things that get unnoticed.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, and then the conversation continues between you, Akil, and Joseph. But that's a good enough start.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is tough, when you do things and you don't get any credit, that's hard. When you work really, really hard on something and you don't see very many results,
Mm-hmm.
that's tough. I mean, this all around, this whole experience that you're describing in this post is all around difficult in a lot of different ways. So I mean, it's difficult because it's tiring, because you're working super hard. You pour so much of yourself into something, so you're exhausted at the end. And then at the end of it, you're not even getting any recognition, well, not much, if any, for all the work that you're putting in and all this kind of stuff. I remember, I'll never forget this one time when we used to go to these events, and, it was a leadership event, and we would have goals that were set for us to hit certain goals, right? And they would always we'd go to this event, and then it'd be everybody, the whole main crowd would be there, and it'd be about 2,000 people in this room for the first part of it, right? And then they would say, okay, anybody who hit this particular goal, you guys can stay for the next part, and then everybody else has to leave. Right. And then, so this next part is just for people who have hit this certain goal. And then they would break it down again after another part. They would break it down. Okay, anybody who hit this next goal, this next little section is for you guys. And then onwards and onwards until by the end, there are only like 20 people in there or something.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember the first breakdown, that first goal to hit, was pretty tough for a lot of people, and it would go from about 2,000 people in the room to maybe 100.
Right.
So less than 10% of the people would actually be staying for that. And I remember that motivated me a lot. I just wanted to be part of that inner group. I wanted to be a part of that. And so I worked really hard, and I hit that goal, because the event I went to the month prior, we did these every month, right? And then that one month I had to leave the room because I didn't hit the goal. And I was like, dang it. And I had to stand out and wait in the hallway because the person who I rode with did hit the goal. So he's in there, and I'm just waiting out in the hallway. And I'm like, tug on it. So anyway, I totally lost my train of thought. Okay, so I'm waiting in the hall, and I'm just like, doggone it, I'm gonna hit it the next time. And so the next time we go, and I hit it, and I was like, yes. And I'm so looking forward to this day. I'm like, we're gonna get to go, and I'm gonna get to stay with a little tiny group of people, and I'm gonna feel like super special and everything like that. And you know what they did? They skipped it. They skipped that goal and went to the next one. They said everybody who didn't hit and it was the next one that I didn't hit yet, you know.
Mm.
And I had to leave again, and I had worked so hard to hit it, and I had to leave, and I was like, I was so mad.
I could imagine.
Because I worked so hard and I still didn't get, like, I knew I did it because I wanted to stay, and I still had to leave. And I was like, man, that was awful. I was so ticked off. But anyway, so those moments happen. There are other moments. My oldest son just had a moment like that too, where he did a lot of work and he achieved a certain level in Taekwondo. And then there was a little mix up, and somehow his little brother got some recognition that he hadn't earned.
Mm.
And so we had to go talk to the instructor and be like, that's not really right. But the damage had already been done.
Yeah.
Because my oldest son had worked hard and he had gotten to this point, and then my youngest son got a little recognition that he hadn't. And so it was like a little dicey there, you know. So that's even tougher when, you know, someone's getting something they didn't earn, you know, and you're not getting recognized. Another thing that happened, I remember watching this person. I work really hard to try and keep my appointments. I work really hard to schedule things and be where I say I'm going to be. Right. And this person, my parents hired a builder to do some work on their house, and he did not do the things he said he was going to do or keep his appointments or anything like that. You just never knew, and he was going to show up and work on the house. And I'm like, doggone it, this guy's like this successful builder, and he's gotten all this, you know, success in his field, and he can't even keep his appointments. And I'm like, it was making me so mad. And you know what I found myself saying? It's not fair. And I'm like, oh, and as soon as that came out of my mouth and was in my head, I was like, oh, you know what? I tell my kids that all the time. It's not fair. I know it's not fair. Life isn't fair. Get a helmet. Because life's not going to be fair. Maria says her head hurts. I hope it's not because I was yelling.
I'm sorry. It's because I was yelling.
Oh, yeah. It's Ryan's fault.
Mm-hmm. Silent screaming. It pierces so much into the head. It makes your head hurt.
Yeah. No. So I'm sorry your head hurts.
I hope your headache goes away.
But all of that stuff, it's all of the things I just told you in the stories that you guys just endured me telling, that just has to go. It just has to say that I know what it feels like to work really hard, to not have it be noticed, to not have it be recognized, and to be exhausted, to leave everything you have out there and then have it just go like nowhere. I've also worked really hard and had the whole project just flop. Poured a whole bunch of effort into stuff and then had it go nowhere. In fact, people do that all the time. Inventions, there are new inventions all the time that people pour their life into. They pour money and time, and they go around and talk to all their friends and relatives and get them to invest money, so they can create this product or something. They can create this new invention that then they can go out and put into the world. And then you know what happens? A lot of times they put all that blood, sweat, and tears into that thing, and then it never sells. And there are catalogs you can get of those types of products, and it just to pour everything you have and then have it flop. But you know what? you're in really good company. Because Henry Ford had that happen. He was, those of you who know who Henry Ford was, he's the guy who invented the assembly line to make automobiles. He failed. I think he went bankrupt something like 5 times on his way to figuring it out and finally being successful. Edison, that he failed 1,000 times trying to invent the light bulb, found 1,000 ways that it didn't work. And he worked really hard and worked and worked and worked and worked and worked and failed and failed and failed and persevered. That's the key, though, is the perseverance. So what I've just,
Walmart, yeah,
Sam Walton. If you're a reader, pick up the book Made in America by Sam Walton. It talks about the story of Walmart in the beginning days, and it is hilarious, some of the stuff he did and some of the mistakes he made when he was just one little store in Bentonville, Arkansas. And
exploding watermelons. No spoilers.
Yes, it was amazing. Like, some of the stuff that they went through was ridiculous. And, those are the moments. But here's the thing. One thing I've had to come to grips with, that, my scoreboard is not the results anymore for me. Yes, it's good to keep track of results so you can know where to gauge things, so you can know, how things are going, and then you can kind of make adjustments. But right now, my scoreboard is how much can I pour in to what I'm doing? How much how much effort can I put in? And whoever notices. At this point, me noticing the fact that I'm doing better than I did a week ago is a good enough scoreboard for me. And it's energizing once you get your head wrapped around that. And it's like, okay, you know what? I'm just going to give. I'm going to let myself go. I'm going to set my own personal preferences aside. I'm going to forget about me, and I'm just going to focus on this. I'm going to focus on these tasks to get done, and I'm going to just put in as much effort as I can. And that's my scoreboard now. It's like, okay, how much did I accomplish today? How much did I get done? How much did I, work and try and strive and, that type of stuff? How much did I do today? And that's my scoreboard. And then I look at the scoreboard and I'm like, you know what? I didn't do as good today as I did last week, this same day. And, but who cares? You know what? I did the best I could. Tomorrow I'll try again. And every day is a new day. Every week's a new week. And you can always just reset and start again. And that's one of the most beautiful things about life, is that no matter how hard you get nailed, no matter how hard you work on something and it flops, no matter how much, you mess something up, if you're still alive, you can try again. You can give it another go. You can try something different. You try a new approach. And
get out there and mess it up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And when I finally figured out how to set myself aside and just work toward the task and get and like, you know what, I'm just going to try and do this. I'm going to try and get this done because I think a lot of people will like it. I think it'll help a lot of people. So I'm just going to try and get as much done as I can. And I don't care what people think about me anymore. I don't care if people like it, right now, because I know there's going to be people out there who do, but I don't care if whoever is close to me likes it. But, when I was able to let myself go and focus on serving other people and doing something for others, that's when things really come to life. And it's a lot of fun. And then if you screw up, big deal, just try again tomorrow. So I don't know if that really answered everything in here, but that's kind of what I got from your post, and I hope it was helpful. So I'm going to turn it over to Ryan.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, Joe. Yeah, it's kind of, work ethics and all of that is an interesting thing. I think of any type of material out there that you can buy in the realm of growth, internal growth, sales, work, all of that kind of stuff is probably the most amount of material that exists. Like if you go out there and you try to find stuff in the self-help industry, you will find probably like 3 books about sales and and how to run a business and all that kind of stuff for every 1 book there is about anything else. uh, Family, friends, associating. But a lot of what is written in the books that are designed for work ethics and stuff like that is actually centered around people. I think that's telling because a lot of work is designed so that other people can enjoy it, or so that you can get recognition, so that you can move up in your social status, or it requires you to be a good person or good at dealing with people in order to sell your product or to put your project across so that people understand it. It takes people skills to be able to speak on stage. It takes people skills to be able to interact with people. So, I think that's interesting, and it's one of those things. As Joe was just saying, when you are able to let yourself go and see that your work is designed not necessarily just for yourself, but for others, then your mind is in the right place to not only deal with people who hate it, or people who don't give you any recognition, or people who insult your work, or even it just flopping and not getting anywhere. You start to not care about those types of things, because ultimately you don't work for the sake of work. You don't work for example, you don't, a lot of times when you work on a project, you don't work so that you can make a poster board. You make a poster board so that you can get a message across. You don't create a slideshow just to prove to your teacher, hey, look, I can create a slideshow. Sometimes that is the case, but most of the time you're creating a slideshow to get the information across. And so when you're able to let go of the work and say, well, the work is not a part of me. The work is just its own physical object, which sure I helped create, but if you attach your pride to that, it can only tear you down. If you attach who you are to that physical thing, it will tear you down with it. Sometimes it could lift you up. Sometimes you have success. You attach yourself to a product, or you attach yourself to your work, and people uplift the work and they say, oh, wow, this is amazing. You did such a good job on this, and it makes you feel good inside. And then the pain, or the problem of doing that is then when you put something else out and it gets no recognition, it falls flat, it's never completed, or it's just a terrible product or a terrible piece of work, or people don't like it, or people insult it, any of those options, then you feel really terrible. So that's why you got to keep your emotions not attached to your work. It's important to put your emotions into your work so that your work comes out great, but not to allow how people think about your work change how you feel about yourself. I think that's key. I think I've said this before, but on YouTube, as a YouTuber, it's really easy to fall into this bad habit of looking at your comments and going, "Oh wow, all these people like it. This is so cool. Like, wow, I must have did like this is great." And then you scroll down and then you see one bad comment, and then the bad comment is like, "Man, weeb," or something, whatever it is. It doesn't even matter what it is. Like that's just silly. But they're like, "Oh man, this is terrible. They did the drums like there's too quiet or whatever." And then you feel worse. And no matter what good comment you read after that, you're like, "Man, that guy ticked me off. Like I am so upset, or I just feel like poop, you know, because one person said something bad." But the way out of that is to not let the good comments decide that you're going to feel good, because then you don't let the bad comments decide if you're going to feel bad. You put your work out there and it helps who it helps. And those people, they might thank you, they might not. But if you attach yourself and you start relying on those good things to make you feel happy inside, then the bad things are going to make you feel even worse. So when it comes to work, got to make sure we all have to do this, because we are all capable and have probably all done this. We have to make sure that we don't allow our brain to attach our self-worth to that piece of work. We don't allow that work to determine how we feel inside, our emotions. And I think that's something we all can struggle with. So, and honestly, the main thing is just persistence. Sometimes you have like a mission in life, and it takes years and years and years before it lifts off the ground. And, it's all about persistence and not giving up. But there's so many different facets to work, and human relations are a big one. But one thing I was going to say is on procrastination. I talked about this a little bit earlier. Procrastination is often, there's a couple of reasons for procrastination. One of them is we'd rather just be doing something else. Sometimes we just don't feel motivated. And if it's the issue of motivation, I talked about this earlier, but if you are waiting to be motivated before you start working, then you're putting the cart before the horse. Motivation is an emotional response, not something that is required before we start working. So a lot of times it's like trying to be happy about something you've done when you didn't do anything yet. How are you going to do that? You can't. You can't be happy about accomplishing something you've never accomplished. Like, yes, I just went to the moon and was the first man to ever walk on the moon. I'm not Neil Armstrong. I don't pretend to be him, but I am the one who did it. And I know that's a complete, that's stupid. I didn't do that. So I can't get excited about that logically. And so the same thing is with motivation and procrastination. We can't expect our emotions to drive us to something when we haven't even started. So when it comes to procrastination, it's a battle of your own wit, your battle of your own, just, can I just start? Because if I just start, it'll continue. Like that's usually how it is. When it comes to procrastination, when it comes to things, you just start, and it's not that hard. We make it a lot harder than it is, but it's actually easy. If you think about it realistically, it's actually easy, because whatever it is, maybe it's homework, right? It's actually pretty easy. We just look down at the book, or the piece of paper, like, do this, solve this, or do this thing. And you're like, okay. And you look at your book or you look at whatever. It's like, you know how to do that. It's not hard. it takes time. You don't want to do it. And maybe, whatever, but it's not actually difficult. So if you can just get your mind to say, I'm going to start, then things will start moving in the direction. Um, and then you've already beat the hardest part, which is funny because it's the easiest part at the same time. It's the physically most easiest part is to just start.
Mm-hmm.
But our minds make it the hardest part. And if we can get over that, if we just can put our minds to the side and just say, you know what, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to start. Then you've got something to work with. You set the ball in motion, and you've got, what's the word? Anyways, you get the ball rolling.
I can't come up with the word either.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I know.
Momentum.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's funny. I was thinking the Juggernaut. I almost said the Juggernaut. Because that's what his superpower is.
The superpower is momentum.
Momentum, yeah. Anyways. Yeah. So a lot of times it's just deciding to pick up the pencil and start. And if you can start, you can do the rest.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that hard, but our minds make it really difficult. So it's a mind game. But you can do it.
And incidentally on that, sometimes it helps to break it down to like just the very beginning of what you're supposed to do. Mm-hmm. Like I had a task that I had to do today that I didn't want to do at all. And it involved, I was inside and I was working in my computer, and I had to go out to the car, and I had to get some paperwork from the car, and I had to look it over and find a phone number and call the phone number and do all this,
It's freezing outside.
And I was like, yeah, and it's cold. So I was like, you know what? Step one is putting on a shoe.
Right.
I'm going to start with step one.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so I did.
I did that.
Yep. And so you start with step one, and then it's like, oh, step one wasn't so bad. I'll do step two. That's putting on the other shoe. And then it's going upstairs, and then out the door, and then to the car. And I'm like,
I already got two shoes on.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And then so sometimes it's that. Sometimes with homework, it's like, I'm just going to get my book out of my bag. I'm just going to go that far for right now. And I'm not going to commit to anything beyond that. Just getting my book out. And then before you know it, you're finished with the whole thing, because it's like that was just the first step, and then you got on a roll. And before you know it, you're done with the thing.
Yeah. For me, I've got some vocals recorded in my song. Mm-hmm. I'm working on right now. And I'm like, it's going to take a while to mix them, go through them. I've got a couple of different runs I have to break through and divide up and splice and figure out what I want. And I'm like, I'm just going to listen to it. I turned it on. I started listening to it. And I'm like, hold on, pause. I could probably make this better if I did, if I actually muted this track. Let me hear that without that track. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's not that one that's kind of overloading the senses. Maybe it's this one. Yeah. Okay. Actually, hold on. What if I just kind of, change up the instruments that I'm using? And then I'm like, wait a minute, I've already worked for like half an hour now. What's happened? That's what happens. You just start, I'm just going to do the first thing. And then you see, like, next thing you know, you're moving forward. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Anyways, good talk.
But yeah, thanks, Maria Senpai for posting. I see that your head's really starting to hurt, and go lay down and take care of yourself a little bit there. But thank you for posting that so long ago, and I'm glad we were finally able to get to it. I really, when I first saw that post, I was like, oh yeah, and then we didn't have time to get to it that day, and I was like, darn it. Because I really wanted to, and then it was just a matter of connecting with you. And finally, here we are, and we got to. So yes,
Love you, Maria. Have a good one. And if you need some Advil or Aleve or something, take that.
Yes, that can be helpful.
It can be helpful.
Yeah, so we've got a couple here that we can go to. Haley is here.
Oh, we've got one from Haley.
Yep, from last time, and then we've got Amira's.
Yep.
That there's been quite a bit of chatter in the chat going on about. That's Amira. I haven't been able to read everything because half the time I've been talking, but I do want to tell you, wow, that is tough, and I really hope that we can discuss that, because wow, that's painful and difficult, and I'm so sorry that you're going through that. Amira votes to help, or Haley votes to help Amira.
I vote help Amira. Okay. Okay. What was Haley's? Hold on.
Haley's is something on my mind.
Yeah. Watching her mother hurt and so on.
Yeah.
They're both hard.
And Haley says she's okay at the moment. Amira could use it more than me right now. And that, see, that's one of the things that's so great about our community.
I know, right? You guys are so amazing.
Yeah. Everybody's so generous and loving. So yeah, let's tackle Amira's here.
All right, go for it.
And so, Amira, thank you so much for posting this. This is a real challenge. And Haley, thank you. What's that?
Thanks again, Princess, for your diligent work.
Yes. Pretty soon we're just going to be thanking everybody. Thank you, Akil and Zion and Amira and Haley and Science Rocks and everybody.
And thank you everybody for existing. Thanks be to God.
Yes.
Joe, thank you, Joe, for being here. And thank you, Ryan.
Yeah, thank you.
I guess.
Absolutely. So, and yeah, Princess says, don't worry about it right now. We won't worry about anything because it's Wednesday, and this is Don't Worry Wednesday. So you're not allowed to worry.
That's right.
But tomorrow's Thursday, and that'll take care of itself. So,
take it away.
So yeah, there's a bunch of stuff on here. So anyway, let's see. We have Amira. So there's something on my mind. Ouch! I just did something bad. Uh-oh. Am I still here?
Yes.
Still here. Okay. I just got my feet tangled in some cords. All right. Amira says, so there's something on my mind. There's a guy at my job who is super cute, and we flirt all the time, and sometimes we flirt and cuddle. However, I feel guilty about this because he has a girlfriend. Sometimes we hide in the back room together when no one is looking. I honestly don't know what to do, and the story gets more complicated. It's like I have no control with this guy, and I can't help myself. Yes, I know that's not a good excuse. It's not like I can skip work. It actually goes much deeper than what I'm telling you, and I don't talk to anyone outside of work. Before I even knew he had a girlfriend, he asked me out, and I said yes. Then the next day or so, he told me that he was in a complicated relationship, and I retracted my answer. I still like him, and we still sneak around and flirt, and as fun as it is, I still feel guilty for it. And then it takes a twist, and then she says, this is going to be embarrassing. I also have a crush on my best friend, and I know they like me too. The problem is she's a transgender. I'm attracted to guys and subconsciously see her as one, even though I know that's not the reality. I had a mini crush on her before I knew she was a girl. I hate myself right now. Yay, I like a guy who has a partner and a girl I subconsciously see as a guy. Please kill me. It'll be easier. And Amira, sorry, please. This is there are no, this is not a reason for that. So you're just fine. I honestly don't even know anymore. No matter how this plays out, someone is going to get hurt. And it goes on. Yeah. And and there's some responses too. But I think we get the gist of it.
Mhm.
You know, wow. So we've got two issues here. We've got the issue of the guy that she
Mhm.
likes that has a girlfriend, and there's some flirting. There's kind of a there's a bit of a relationship going on there. While this person is also in a relationship, and then there's the crush on a transgender person that is actually a girl but appears as a guy. So, Ryan, what do you have to start us off with?
Amira, yo, real talk. I get you. Um, this is the human mind.
Hmm.
Welcome to it.
Mhm.
We are weird and broken and messed up in all sorts of different kind of ways. We can't control our minds, we can't control our emotions, and we're like, what is this? I get it. I remember being in similar situations. I remember being in school and being really conflicted because I had a girlfriend who I had online. And okay, so I had this girlfriend who was from Canada. So nobody really even knew I had her as a girlfriend. Like nobody even knew her at my school. At the same time, I had an interest in somebody else who was online. And then a year or so later, another girl got really interested in me at school and I became interested in her. Still dating the girl online. This happens to us. Being attracted to many people, being attracted. Here's the thing: what causes an attraction?
Mm.
It's a lot of it we don't decide like consciously. It's a very subconscious ordeal. And as we talked about earlier, subconscious mind is basically what creates and executes habits. And so our subconscious mind has things that it's attracted to. And those things change over time. Some things just are set and some things move. This includes whether you're attracted to men or women. This includes if you like people who are into video games or not. This includes if you like guys with big noses or guys with big ears. I don't know. I don't know what people are into, but or why. But this is just part of our subconscious mind. It's not a part of our genetics, though there is maybe a lick of truth to that. Uh, most of it is not due to genetics. Most of it is actually created within our subconscious mind. It's a physical part of our brain that is established through events and sequences that happen through life. The reason you're attracted to the people you're attracted to now is to the events that have occurred with them and your perception of them, how you see them, and what you find attractive about them. And, that allows you to open up to them more and share more experiences that cause you to be more attracted to them. That is very, very normal.
Mm.
So don't feel like you are wrong or evil or just so like disgusting or anything. That is everyone.
Mm.
Everyone experiences that. People who are married, sometimes they've come across someone and they're like, wow, I'm attracted to this person. And then they have that thought, right? But that doesn't mean they can't act against it.
Mm.
It doesn't mean that that's who they are. That doesn't mean that that's what they should do. We all go through life and we have random thoughts sometimes, random urges, and we have to say no to them. Sometimes we might think, man, I just want to punch that guy in the face right now. He's being such a jerk. But then you correct yourself and you say, well, that's an option. I'm not going to take it. And that's true with even intense emotions such as obsession or the in love experience or having a crush on somebody. It's the same thing. Sometimes we're presented an option and we know the right option might be a different option. Sometimes we start getting involved in something and then we're already on the path. And then we realize halfway down the path that we're like, oh, wait a minute. I just learned some things I didn't know before and I have to get off this path. And it can be very hard to do that. That happens to everybody in all sorts of different walks of life. People start doing drugs sometimes before they realize the ramifications of doing such things. And it's not like, oh, I knew that there are health issues. That didn't bother me, but it's something more along the lines of I didn't realize it was messing with my mind and making me turn into this person that I didn't want to become. I didn't want to be the guy that was addicted to it, and this happens to all people from all walks of life and all sorts of different situations, all reasons. And so don't think you're a horrible person. Don't think you should just kill yourself. Don't think like, oh, geez, man, I am messed up. Because let me tell you, nah, you're normal.
Right.
That is completely normal what you're experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
I really hope I get that across. That is something I've experienced. That's something pretty much everybody in this room has experienced to some degree or another. Our attractions, our desires, sometimes they're beyond us. They're just random things that we encounter, we fall into, and then we have to figure out, what do I do? And sometimes it's hard to stop ourselves from doing the things we realize that we shouldn't be doing. Sometimes, especially when it is intertwined with a relationship, because when you have a person and they're used to you doing certain things, and then all of a sudden you're like trying to back away, it makes it really hard because you don't want to hurt the person's feelings and you want to retain the emotions and the relationship you had because it was nice and it felt good. But at the same time, you're torn. You feel like, what am I to do?
Mm-hmm.
And I can understand you don't feel like a normal person. Why doesn't it feel normal? I think here's the main reason: people don't talk about this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. Everyone goes through this stuff, but no one talks about it because no one wants to be humiliated. Right. Everybody thinks that they're the only ones. It's one of those things where it's like, I don't want to talk about this. Everyone will think I'm a freak, for liking two girls at the same time. That happens to every person. Almost every single person on the planet's experienced something like that. Maybe, I'm not saying everybody, because there are people who honestly have never experienced an affection towards anybody. There's all sorts of different people from all different walks of life, but Amira, it's so common, and you're not gross or anything. That is just the human mind. That is just how it is. And that's okay. Because here's the thing, at the end, you get to choose what you do. Even if you are attracted to two things, or you realize that both the things you're attracted to aren't good for you, they're not what you really want. You can still make that choice. And even if you make the wrong choice, you still can make the right choice at a later date. Mm-hmm. You can't go back into the past and change that. But tomorrow's a new day. Tomorrow's a new day, and you have the ability to make choices again. On that day, even if you've walked into it and you're addicted to something, whatever it is, you have an ability to choose. And so, yeah, I can totally relate with you on all of this. I really can. And so I hope you don't feel, I want to let you know you're not the only one. And it can be a humiliating subject. It can be an embarrassing subject. And so I really applaud you for sharing it, because I think a lot of people think they're the only ones that have experienced this, when in reality, I think most people have experienced these type of issues, and everybody's experienced wanting to do something that's not good for them, or they know that there's a better path and they're not taking it. Um, Everyone's experienced that. And so don't beat yourself up, okay? Because if you beat yourself up, that's not going to make you want to do the right thing more.
Right.
You can hold the bar high on yourself. You got to hold the bar high on yourself. You got to say, "This is who I am. I'm meant to be a great person." Hold your dignity high, but don't beat yourself up, because that only puts you down. That only puts you below the bar. You don't go to your friend and insult them for all their problems and expect that to make them into a better person and make your relationship with them better. That's not the case. So don't beat yourself up for it. Just understand that that's something we all go through. And you just have to figure it out as you go. But you get to pick your path every day. You get to pick your path. And never is there a case where you pick a path and there's no more paths. There's always another path. There's always a path that leads to something good. And you have to find it and go after that. Even if for the past 7 years you've been picking the bad paths, there's still a path that leads to something good. So don't ever feel hopeless. But anyways, on more of a direct topic about what you're talking about, what's going on, with hold on, you wrote something here. I love my best friend, and I would hate myself if I was the cause of her pain. Yeah, the guy at my job always brightens my day, but is taken. Right, and I respect that. When I was experiencing this situation, like I was describing before, of liking two girls at once, when I stood true to my morals, when I stood true to my heart, meaning I was like, nope, I'm going to stay with the girlfriend I already have. I'm not going to dump her. I have decided I'm making a commitment, and I'm going to hold myself to that. When I took that route, even though after a couple of years that relationship ended, I never regretted that. I never regretted making that choice, because I knew it was the right thing. And yeah, that built me up inside. If anything, it made me realize I can be a strong person, even in the face of being against myself. Even when I want something, I can deny myself or say, this is more virtuous to chase this route, and I'm going to do that. And you have that option right before you. And that's beautiful. I know right now it's hard, but it's honestly beautiful. It's great, because you get to help this guy who's clearly in the wrong. I'm sorry, but he is. And you get to make a decision. And that decision affects him. And that decision will set him on the right path. Because if you deny that relationship with him, even though it's already started, and you say, look, and you just be honest, say, I can't with you because you are already taken. And you know what? You can still be their friend. I did when I told the girl, like, hey, I have a girlfriend and I'm sorry, I do like you, but I can't. That didn't tear our relationship apart. In fact, we were still friends. Mm-hmm. And that can be the same for you. Like, just because you're having a good time doesn't mean that your friendship has to end when you say there's no more flirting, no more doing this back and forth between two girls for you. You can't do that to your girlfriend. That's not nice. That's not virtuous. That's not good. That's yeah. And
well, that's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt him too.
Yeah, exactly. It's gonna hurt him. It's gonna hurt you, and it's gonna hurt the other girl.
Mhm.
And so you have the opportunity to say no and to say, let's end it. Because then you're helping him. You're helping yourself and you're helping the other girl. And I think that's amazing. Um, that is an amazing path that's presenting itself before you. It's not easy. You don't want it because it's scary. You don't want it because you enjoy the flirting. I get it. I get it. I mean, I've been there.
Mhm.
But when you do the right thing, you don't regret it. You don't. You look back and you're like, you don't miss what you didn't have. Like, oh man, all the flirting I could have done. If I only had just never told her I didn't have if I had never told her I had a girlfriend, man, all that flirting I could have done, that would have been great. I could have just flirted with her and we could have had a good time or something. Like that has no value. I'm sorry. There's like, it just is valueless to me compared to, wow, I stood up for myself. And I did the right thing.
Mhm.
That felt way better than flirting. And I urge you to do the same thing. You'll experience the same thing. You'll be proud of yourself. You'll be it'll help you move forward. And it will help the other guy. It'll help. It's a good thing that you can take this path. But anyways, on the other side with the the girl who is transgendered, um, and that whole situation, um, you know, it can be a very touchy subject to talk about anything in the LGBTQ structure, just because people have built it up to be that way. It doesn't have to be. There's no reason it should be, but it is a very controversial subject just because people are really sensitive to this topic. Even though we're all humans, we all are loved the same, and I love you all, and whatever. We all have our own attractions,
Mhm.
and sometimes those attractions aren't really meant to be shared with people, and sometimes it's okay to do that. But um, if you're not attracted to this person on a biological level, you can't expect yourself to go into a relationship with that person and have it be continuously healthy for you. Um, because what you get for putting her through a lie, if you will, saying, like, hey, I love you. I just don't love all of you. um, you can say that to somebody when it's like, hey, I love you. I just don't love some of your actions. That's great. But if you're like, hey, I love you, except for the fact that I don't like this thing that you find is very core to your being, and that is your nature. Are you a male or are you a female? And it's a really confusing thing. Um,
Mhm.
and so, I again, if you're attracted, but I would. Here's the thing: like, you don't need to be in a relationship. Relationships are a good thing, but they're only a good thing when you are focused on the other person and you're not doing it for yourself. And sometimes something can seem like you're doing it for somebody else, but you're actually doing it for yourself.
Mhm.
Um, and we've all experienced different realms of that. But here, let me tell you something. What's the highest form of love? What's the best you can do for somebody when it comes to love? It's not romance. It's not being in a relationship with them, saying, hey, like, to life, until death do we part. And you know what? the highest level of love is friendship, because friendship is when you're there for somebody else and it's not about you. Yeah, a lot of times people experience friendship if they're having good times and so on. But imagine this: you're in a relationship with somebody and you're like, hey, I want to make this relationship more meaningful. So let's take it to the next level, right? Let's take it to the next level. If you think about that logically, how is that going to make the relationship better? How does that help the other person grow and become a better person? Oh, I kissed you. Now you're better. What? No, that actually literally doesn't make sense. If the true calling of love is to want the best for somebody and help them achieve that. How does physical attraction really fit into that? It does in the right case. But in most cases, it's far better to leave all of that out of the picture and just focus on being good to that person and helping that person move forward. Friendship, a lot of times, is way more impressive, way more virtuous, way, way better for another person than getting into a romantic relationship with them. Because when you get into a romantic relationship with people, it does weird things. I can tell you that from experience. Sometimes when you get in a relationship with somebody, they no longer value your input. They think, oh, we're on equal level now, so I don't have to listen to your advice anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll tell you that happens 9 times out of 10, and then relationships fall apart because there isn't that level of respect there that there is for a friendship. So a lot of times when you get into those romantic settings, when you start to flirt and all of that kind of stuff, you actually reduce the respect you have for each other. And then your foundations fall apart and crumble, and you're left with something worse than friendship. And so I highly encourage you, seek friendship with these people and be loving and be your best for these people and encourage them to be their best and do what I'm sure you're already doing in that realm. You don't need romance. Romance is good. It has its place.
Mm-hmm.
But more importantly, is just loving them honestly. Loving them honestly.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, that's all I got. I got a lot apparently, but that's all of it. So I got no. So the rest is Joe's.
Ryan, that was fantastic, except for there's one thing I have to make a slight correction on.
Go for
That's the whole thing. I kissed you, now you're better. That actually does happen.
Oh, the Frog Prince.
No, that's fake. I'm talking real life. I watched it happen on Saturday.
Yeah, okay, it happened. It can.
They're a bunch of first graders learning how to play volleyball, and this one little kid got hit, and he was crying and everything, and he comes running off to his mom, and he's crying, and his mom just gave him a kiss.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was all better.
And it's all better. Yeah. That's a little bit different. I kissed you and now you're a better person.
Gotcha.
Oh, I kissed you and now you're actually not an evil person anymore. You're a good guy. It was like that. Right. No, in fact, all of the villains are usually like the kiss of death. And, you never see a character that's a good character that's like, I have the poisonous kiss and I save people with it.
With poisonous kisses.
Yeah. Poisonous kisses, Batman. No, okay, anyway.
So anyway, sorry, Science Rocks. I just wrecked your whole day by telling you the Frog Prince story was a fake.
That was a fake?
I'm so sorry. But anyway, so Amira, first of all, thank you for the courage to put this out here again. And like Ryan was saying, I know it doesn't feel normal, but these types of situations happen to so many people, There are so many different nuances in so many different people's experiences. What you're dealing with is not outside of the realm of normal. So you know, I just want to make sure that you understand that this changes nothing as far as your value as a person. It changes nothing as far as, who you have the potential of becoming and what you have been created as. And you're a beautiful, beautiful person. And this is just a tough situation you're in. And it pains me to see you in this situation, mainly because I get the feeling that you feel like you're trapped. It feels like you're stuck. It feels like this whole situation has kind of collapsed around you or is enclosing you, and you feel trapped by it, and you're held captive. You feel like that it's the right thing to do to not do some of these things, but you can't get yourself to do it because of the feelings that you have. And so you're kind of held hostage by your feelings, and you're kind of held hostage by these situations. And it really, I understand that sensation, and it really, really hurts to know that you're going through that. And I'm so sorry that you're going through that, because that's painful. And it really reminds me of, there have been times Ryan went through life and he's done a lot of the right things. I on the other hand, have gone down some pretty wrong paths many times.
I have to.
And you've gone down the wrong paths.
Well, let's not talk about that.
But at any rate, what you're describing reminds me of times when I was addicted to different substances, whether it was nicotine or other forms of chemical substances. I've struggled with a handful of addictions, and that feeling of being trapped is what it sounds like. I mean, that just reminds me of that. So, first of all, getting real with yourself, like Ryan just described, getting to the truth of the matter, really can be liberating as far as knowing what the right thing to do is. So you look at the logical end of each of these situations. First off, you have a guy at work that, you're in this, you're in a relationship, but he has a girlfriend, and so this is kind of like a side relationship that you're in with him. Or maybe you're the real relationship and his girlfriend is the side relationship. But either way, when you look at this situation and you look at the end of it, it doesn't really look like it's going to end in happiness, for everyone. And I saw a comment early on. I can't remember who posted it, but somebody said it would be really tough to date someone who was willing to cheat.
Mm-hmm.
I remember a coworker of mine had said he had had an affair in his first marriage, and he said, he had been having this affair, and so it destroyed his first marriage. He said the worst thing he did was he married the woman he was having an affair with. So that was his second marriage. His second marriage was to the woman he was having the affair with that broke up his first marriage. So how do you think that went? Well, that whole relationship was based on the affair. And so it was already a sense of distrust. There was already the layer of cheating involved because they were, they had been having this affair. And so it wasn't long before that marriage collapsed based on another affair. And so just it kind of got set up in that fashion. And so the whole relationship was based on distrust. And that's it seems to me where this is heading as it stands right now, because there's a willingness to be dishonest for this guy, because he's and I can imagine what's going on in his mind and heart. He's conflicted, because he likes you and he likes his girlfriend, and he's like, whoa, it's for a guy, sometimes it's like, wow, that's like amazing. Two different girls like me. Whoa.
That's not a good situation to be in.
Right. So anyway,
it can be what do you call that? A lift to your ego. That's not helpful though.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So in that situation, just looking at it objectively, it seems like it's probably going to end in pain. There's probably going to be a lot of pain for people involved, especially if you take it to continue taking it down the road that it's on. It's gonna become painful, and it's probably going to be more and more entrapping as you go. So, and then the other situation with the crush you have on the girl who puts herself out to the world as a guy, that also is based on an untruth. And so these two situations have an untruth in them that can end up in real pain for you and for the other people involved.
Yeah.
And so to look at it honestly like that, it's like, I mean, you may be you're probably headed down a path that's going to be pretty painful. And it sounds to me like it already is. And again, I'm sorry that you're going through this, and going through this doesn't reduce your value at all, because this, like Ryan said, and like I said, this is totally normal and it's natural, and you're in this situation. So now here's the real question. How in the heck do you beat it?
Yeah.
How do you get out of it? How do you get out of it without just destroying the world around you? And for one thing, I mean, Ryan has, he has shared with me wisdom on so many different levels.
I thought I got all of it. That's weird.
You may not be able to dismantle this all at once. Sometimes, people, it's really easy to look on the outside and say, yep, you just got to end it. Just stop it.
Sure.
But it's not that way. I remember when I smoked cigarettes, and I had a cousin who just said to me, well, why don't you just stop? And I'm like, yeah, it seems that simple, doesn't it? But there's physical addiction to deal with and a psychological addiction to deal with in that sense. And so there was a lot of different forces to fight against. It wasn't just a simple yes or no, I'm going to either continue this or stop it. Right. And it's probably the same here. It's not going to be just a simple turn it on or turn it off. You can't, like, there are habits that are set in place. There are psychological tendencies that are set in motion. All these things are moving in these directions. And to turn the tide on those is going to be a little bit difficult. I heard the analogy about, you've got a circular pool and people are running around, in this, you put a current together going in one direction, and you're going and you're going and you're going, and you get it faster and faster and faster. And before you know it, it's easy just to go in that direction. You just pick your feet up and you just go around the pool in that direction, and it's great. It's really simple and easy, and you're just going in that direction. But then if you're going to try and turn it the other way around, it's hard. Like, you got to dig your feet in, and you're going to like by the time you're done, I always ended up with cracked toes. Like, skin of my toes ended up cracking because of all the force, and then the chlorine pool and stuff. So but like, and so it's going to be hard to get it going back in the other direction. So how do you do that? And I would say one of the most effective things that I did that changed so many things in my life and changed so many behaviors that were wrong, that were going in the wrong direction, was a practice of fasting and a practice of discipline, even in unrelated things. You're dealing with this situation over here. Well, to fast from food, like Ryan would talk about fasting, where he'd eat half a sandwich and leave the other half of the sandwich, and he would discipline himself to not eat it
for a period of time, and then
not like forever, but just for a period of time. The strength gained from that discipline just builds you up and gives you more confidence and lessens the weight of the addictive feeling you have. So just little disciplines like that. If you can learn how to discipline yourself in waking up in the morning and having an exercise program and dietary disciplines, all of different things of that nature, what that's going to do is it'll build up your ability to have freedom. Because what disciplining yourself to fast, whether it's from food or from sleeping in the morning or from sitting around watching TV, to take a break from those and to discipline yourself to do something good, above those things, that is a liberating experience that creates more freedom in your life. And it frees you from, you're like, oh, I actually have power over myself. I can make a choice and I can stick with it. I can do this, and it builds your confidence level, and it gives you a sense of freedom that then can carry into all of these other situations. And it was amazing how many tendencies and behaviors I had that were off track and different attractions that, were just taking me in such wrong directions. But I was so compelled to do them because it was a habit, and I felt like I didn't have any power over it, and it felt super trapped. But then to introduce small disciplines, whether it's just not hitting the snooze button in the morning, that's just one little thing that when you have that victory, it's a huge victory. Or maybe fasting, maybe just don't eat lunch one day and say, you know what? I'm not going to eat lunch. I'm going to eat a huge, enormous breakfast, so it'll carry me through lunch. And I'm not. That's honestly, that was the first time I fasted. That's what I did. And I still felt the victorious feeling.
Yeah, that's true. That's
and true. That set me on the path to be able to do it without eating the enormous breakfast later, So, and now it's a regular practice. Uh-oh, we're having an issue with the stream. Sorry, guys. Hopefully this is all coming.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
So anyway, I'm going to keep going and hopefully it catches up. So little disciplines like that, Amira, can really, really help, at least free you from the addictive feelings that you have in these situations. And like Ryan said, just because we're attracted to something doesn't mean it's good for us. I'm attracted to whiskey, but it's not always good for me. Especially if I'm on, like right now, I'm kind of on a fitness and getting up in the morning type of, lifestyle. That's the lifestyle I'm cultivating, where I'm trying to get up early and get stuff done in the morning and exercise and get in shape and all this kind of stuff. Lots of things are not good for me in this mode, like soda and candy and alcohol and, a lot of different things. These things are not good if that's what I'm trying to get to. But I'm still attracted to those things, but they're still not good for me. And Akil is attracted to violence. That's not necessarily good for you either. Now, violence can be good in defense. If you have a propensity for violence and you have a heart for other people, then you can be a public servant in the defense of people, and that's a good thing.
And whiskey can be good in certain situations too.
Yeah, it can be good. It'll help you fall asleep. It can help. Yeah, absolutely.
We desire these things. They're good things, but not all the time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. The thing I caution you with, Amira, in these situations is that it seems that you're going down the path heading toward a lie. There is untruth at the end of those roads. And it sounds to me like you love these people. You love this guy at work, and you love this friend of yours. And like Ryan has said so many times, and he said it earlier, loving somebody is wanting their greatest good. And the greatest good for both of them is to live in the truth and be true to themselves. And Amira, I totally understand what you just posted. I keep saying I'm going to stay in control when I see this guy. And when I do, all control is lost. And that to me reminds me of when I was addicted to different things. Where I was like, yes, I'm not going to be there. I'm not going to be there. I'm not going to do this thing. And then I'm faced with it. And then, yep, there I am again doing it. For years and years and years, struggling with that same situation over and over and over and over again. And it can be very discouraging. So sometimes the best attack to these things, to getting rid of that, is to kind of attack it from the side and say, I'm going to have a discipline in something totally unrelated. And what that does is it gives you the power to work yourself up to these bigger things, and then sometimes it's like, okay, I'm not going to do this today only. And after today, all bets are off. But today, I'm not going to do it, and see how you do. And if you fail, okay. Well, it's okay. You can try again. There's always another try. But Amira, I'm so proud of you for coming on and posting this. This is such a difficult situation. And, it's difficult for us to unpack too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different layers in something like this. And there are a lot of different feelings, and there are a lot of cultural biases going on right now, like Ryan said, especially in the transgender area, you know. So there are a lot of things where we have to tread somewhat lightly and carefully. And I love how Ryan put what he said, because really it comes down to whether or not you love these people. And if you love them, you're not going to want them to hurt. And we love you, and we don't want you to hurt.
Mm-hmm. That's
and
true.
in the situation right now, it's painful. And it seems to me that the end of these, if you take them to their logical conclusion, that's going to be even more painful. And so now it's just a matter of starting to move the current in the opposite direction. Just one tiny little baby step at a time. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention the power that God has played in these, the power of prayer, the power of meditation, the power of silence. I would highly, highly, highly recommend a book called The Miracle Morning by Hal Elrod. I know you guys are tired of hearing me talk about that book.
Just read it, guys.
So tired of me talking about that book. But one of the things in the morning routine is silence, meditation, and prayer, where the first few minutes of your day are spent in, if you are a praying person, pray. If not, then meditate and just silence your brain. Just spend some time in purposeful silence, he talked about. And it just starts your day off fresh. It starts your day off clean and clear. And it'll take a while of doing that consistently before you have, strength built up to tackle some of these bigger issues. But you can do it. And keep coming back and listening to Don't Worry Wednesday.
Yeah.
And go to the podcast and listen to the podcasts, because there's always something encouraging on those.
That's true.
And
you say
Haley says, since Joe will always talk about it, might as well read it so we know what he's referencing.
Yeah, what he's referencing. There you go. Amira says, I wish I didn't have these feelings, I wish I didn't have feelings for my best friend. Should I tell her?
Wait, what?
Amira said, I wish I didn't have feelings for my best friend. Should I tell her? And
tell her how do I feel about my best friend?
Wait, what? How do I feel about my best friend?
Wait, I'm a little confused, Amira. Should you tell her what? Should you tell her about your feelings? Does
I think that's what she means. I think Amira is saying, should I tell her about my feelings for her? Or are you saying something else? Could be that you're saying, should I tell her?
Akil asked that. Okay.
She was responding, how do I feel about my friend?
Sometimes you don't have to tell anybody anything that's personal. I remember learning that, not everybody has the right to know all of the feelings that I have and all the thoughts that I have. Because sometimes I know. Okay, Amira, thank you. But yeah, not everybody has the right to know all the inner workings of my brain. Because I know sometimes my brain's messed up.
Yeah, that's true. I would know. I've been in there. No, I'm just kidding.
Man, Ryan, you would know actually.
I think we all know.
Everybody here knows how messed up your brain is.
Just kidding. I've actually meant that in a different way, but when it came out, I was like, yeah, that's what it sounded like. I actually meant everybody has those things where they're like, yeah, I shouldn't share that thought with anybody. That thought's gonna go away in the trash. No one's gonna uncover that one.
Yeah, you want to mess up as much as me, you'll learn a lot of things. Yep, you do. True. But you go through a lot of pain learning things that way.
Yeah, I teleport in people's brains. Yeah, it's a multifunctional superpower.
Well, since he's up there, he just gets the vibe from my brain.
Mm-hmm. I just soak it up through my torso.
He's got like a vacuum, and it just like pulls.
There is nothing below this torso. It's just a vacuum.
Yeah, it goes just like that.
Mm-hmm. And then it goes through my intestines and into my brain. It's weird. I'm trying to explain it.
Because there's a direct path from the intestines to the brain.
There's a direct path from the intestines to the brain. It's called the intestinal brain junction. Function. Conjunction. Motion. Okay, so yeah, as Joe was saying, you don't have to tell anybody anything. I've usually taken the approach of being honest with the point of meeting a certain end. So I come in peace. I come in pieces. No. Some assembly required. So you can tell people certain things with an intention of leading to a specific end so that your relationship is on point and in the best direction. So sometimes it can be crucial or beneficial to explain, hey, I have these feelings for you, but I don't want to do anything with them. So stop tempting me. Like with your friend that's a guy who is flirting with you, to be open with him and say, hey, like I don't think that this is a good relationship since you already have a girl, even if it's kind of a weird relationship, even if like it's not completely like you two are together. I just don't want to be in a relationship right now. Like it's not something I want to do. And I'm really attracted to you and I keep on like wanting to flirt with you. So can you like stop flirting with me so that I'm not flirting back? To be honest, in that scenario might help you. Or you can just say, can you stop flirting with me? I don't really want to be in a relationship. That'll go just as well.
Mm-hmm.
But if you say that, sometimes it's good to be prudent, because sometimes if you just say that, like he might feel like, oh no, like she must hate me or something. Now I can't talk to her, or it'll be super awkward. You want to alleviate that. So sometimes being honest to a certain effect, being honest with your feelings towards the person can help you move the relationship in the right direction, to the flow of conversation, letting them know your thoughts, letting them tell you their thoughts, and then coming to a conclusion and working together. That's a good thing to strive for. But yeah, as Joe was saying, you don't have to tell everybody everything you're feeling. It's up to you. Whatever you feel is going to be best. So for this other person, do you want to share with them everything? Do you want to share with them your feelings about liking them but not wanting to date them because of their honestly their body type and whatever other kind of factors are standing in between, which are completely good to have. I'm not saying that that's a bad thing. It's a good thing. So don't be, I hope no one takes me wrong for saying that. So anyways, it's good to be honest, but yeah, you just have to be prudent. You just have to, Think about different ways of saying things. Rehearse. You don't have to go with what you rehearse. A lot of times I don't like rehearsing what I'm going to say, but rather play different things out in your head and figure out what's the best way to explain myself to this person to get to the end that I want, which is no relationship, friendship, or that sort of thing. And sometimes you realize, oh, I have to explain myself a little bit further in detail, my emotions, or why I'm wanting to do this sort of action, or why I'm asking them to step away, or whatever, so that you can retain the relationship. But if you don't need any of that, then you don't need to tell them. Because honestly, a lot of times the problem is all in our head, and we can solve it in our head without it ever coming to public eye. A lot of times, most of our problems are in our head, and it's no one else has to do anything. We just have to figure it out and then take action on that. Sometimes it's just retraining our point of view on things. Sometimes it's just being more strict with ourselves. So I think a lot of times you don't have to tell anybody anything, and you can just solve it by yourself in your brain unit.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways.
Yep. That's absolutely true. So thanks again, Amira. You have a lot of courage to do that, to come on here and talk about that. And,
absolutely.
And wow, it's so complicated of an issue, that it's hard to do it justice. But hopefully some of what we said can help, at least get you start thinking about a few things. And yeah, but you will be in our thoughts and in our prayers for sure as you go through this, because this is not easy.
Yeah. Well, that concludes our Don't Worry Wednesday, I believe.
Yes.
And by the way, Jesse really actually meant with his psycho powers. It comes from an old Street Fighter movie. And my psycho powers, with psycho powers. The evil villain, he has his psycho powers.
Yeah.
Because he's a complete psycho. But anyways, sorry.
Yeah, this is the second show where Akil has talked about how he likes my bookshelf.
I like your bookshelf too.
I like my bookshelf too. You're gonna like it even more here in a second.
His bookshelf is like the one from Harry Potter. He can actually go through it. Whoa, that was actually awesome. That was actually really, really well played. Whoa. The way it blends in with the darkness and the shadow, like it literally was like everything's appearing. It's not
like wavy. Chasing me.
It doesn't look like it's bending so much as it's just like fading, disappearing. That was amazing. That's beautiful. Anyways, thank you all for joining us. You guys are all awesome. We appreciate you staying with us, even though it's been like an hour and a half or 2 hours and a half or something. But thanks, Jesse, for hosting us and being with us and dealing with our long-winded stream.
Yes. It was good though. We attacked some pretty amazing issues. And
yes.
Thank you everybody for sharing. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, we'll be back here on Friday. Haley, please come back on Friday. We will discuss your posts that's in here. And if you have any other questions, anyone, feel free to go to the website and post right here. Boom. At that link right there, Sonali has posted, and also Ryan has posted the Spotify link for where our podcasts are showing up. There will be a new episode tomorrow. on Spotify.
Thanks,
and
Joe.
yeah, and I'm really excited to just get as much of this out to you guys as possible in as many ways as possible. We just want to create as many ways you guys can listen and watch, and as much as you can. So anyway, thanks so much for being part of the community. Go to bss.studio, check us out. Thanks again to Jesse. Thanks again to Princess Yellow for posting these on the website. And you guys are totally amazing, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah. We love you guys, and we love doing this with you. So
yes. Love you guys. Come on back.